Alright, so in this video I am making a Sekiro tier list. Sekiro is now my 100% my new favorite FromSoft game. I used to actually not like it that much. I used to not really like it. But now that but that was because at that point the combat had to click with me. I really was not good at the combat, so I wasn't really enjoying the game. I was stuck at Genichiro, which is now a very easy boss for me. But it used to be harder than like any other boss in the entire series, just because I wasn't good at the combat yet. But now the combat's actually clicked with me. I've finished the game once with the Immortal Severance ending, and I'm on the final boss of the Shura ending. It's a very good game. Probably my favorite one in all of the games that FromSoft has made, now that I've actually completed it and gotten further than Genichiro, and gotten really good at the combat. The combat is so satisfying when you get, like, really good and then playing through again and destroying all the bosses that you were having a hard time against before. But the first boss on this tier list is Old Dragons of the Tree, which I honestly think is probably either a C or a D. I think a low C. Low C or high D. I think a low C just because they introduce one of the coolest bosses in the game. One of the coolest bosses in any of their games, actually. And it's one of the only, not only one of the big bosses where they've gotten it to work correctly and the camera to work correctly, but it's also one of the only gimmick bosses that they've done that is actually really good. One of the only ones, at least in my opinion, is Rykard. It's really this one and Rykard that are the good gimmick bosses. Demon of Hatred, I'm not going to give a rank. The reason why is I've gotten like halfway through the first phase, so I don't think it would be fair for me to rank it. Because I just haven't gotten good enough at the boss, and I haven't gotten enough experience with the boss to fairly rank it. So I'm not going to rank the Demon of Hatred. But Great Shinobi Owl is A tier. Easy A. Great Shinobi Owl is another boss I got really stuck on for a few days. Genichiro I got stuck on for like months. I just like tried every once in a while for a couple hours, and then stopped playing for another month or two. So Genichiro I was stuck on for the longest, but this one was, like, after the combat clicked, this is the boss I was stuck on for the longest. Either this one or Ishin. Or maybe Guardian Ape. One of those three. Those are the three really hard bosses for me after Genichiro. But he is such a fun boss. Like, in the first phase, you can just be super aggressive and everything, and the second phase with the poison, it's also really fun. It's just such a fun fight. I love the Great Shinobi Owl fight. It's one of my favorite in this game. Gyobu. I think Gyobu's a solid B. His introduction, especially in English, in the English dub, this is one of the only parts of Sekiro that actually sounds good in the English dub. His intro on the English dub is so good. It's such a good intro. So, and also the boss fight's pretty fun too. I think it's the only, like, mounted boss fight in this game. I think. I might be wrong on that though. Otherwise a pretty good boss fight. Voice lines are cool. It's kind of cool that he gets a different voice line if you hit him before he's done with his first line. That's a pretty cool little thing. Or if you hit him too early, he'll just change to a completely different voice line that he doesn't say otherwise. Pretty cool boss fight overall. I think it's a solid B. Sword Saint Ishin, instant S. This is my favorite boss in any of their games. I know I've said multiple times before, there's been Frida, Midir, and both are Dark Souls 3 bosses. But when I got to Sword Saint Ishin, I instantly knew who was my favorite boss in any of their games. And this one was actually the boss other than Genichiro. This is the boss that after the combat clicked I was stuck on for the longest. I think it was anywhere between 3 and 5 hours, maybe a little bit even more than that. It is such a hard fight. It's 2 bosses spread across 4 phases. It starts with Genichiro, Way of Tomo. Tomoe, I'm not sure how to say it. I've seen it said multiple different ways. I'm just gonna say it the way I'm used to, Tomo. It starts with Genichiro, Way of Tomo, which is actually right down here, so I might as well rank it along with. This one gets a B tier. It starts with Genichiro, Way of Tomo. Once you defeat him, he's only a 1-phase fight in this one. Then, you fight Sword Saint Ishin, who is a 3-phase fight, which, along with Demon of Hatred, is the longest fight phase-wise in the game. Demon of Hatred is also 3 phases. But including Genichiro, Way of Tomo, it's the most phases that any fight in this game has. And I just think it's such a good fight. Like, he starts out with only a sword, and that phase is actually pretty easy after you get some practice. Then he pulls out his Spear Underground, and the yell he does when he pulls out the Spear Underground is one of the coolest voice lines in the game. And then the voice lines he says after that, I think that those voice lines, including the yell, are better than Gyobu's introduction in English. It's just such a good introduction to the phase, and then the 3rd phase kind of lays off. Like, the first 2 phases are insanely hard, and then the 3rd phase kind of lays off. It's just same as the 2nd phase, just with some lightning attacks, so it's way easier because you can get massive health and posture damage on him with each lightning reversal, and it also staggers him, so you can get in even more hits while he's staggered. It's very easy, not necessarily a very easy phase, but it's easier than the 2nd phase, not easier than the 1st phase in my opinion. 1st phase of Sword Saint Ishin is really easy with all the times I've played it now. I can, like, hit list that phase most of the time, and if I don't hit list it, usually I at least beat it without having to use a heal. Very, very good fight though. Definitely my favorite out of any of the FromSoft games. Next one is Ishin Ashina, which is I haven't beaten yet, but I've gotten so close. So actually, shortly before I was doing this video, like I would say an hour before probably, I was fighting him, and I was using the Mortal Blade to cancel out some of his attacks, and he was really close to being staggered for the last hit point. But when he got staggered, I was in the middle of a Mortal Blade attack, so I couldn't run up while he was staggered, and then he ended up killing me. But I've gotten really close to killing this guy. I probably will kill him soon. But this is a really good fight as well. I would definitely give this an A. It's a 3-phase fight, including Emma, which I might as well also rank with him. I think I'll rank Emma as an A as well. She's a really good fight. Really easy after a few tries, and after a few times of beating her, but she's honestly a really good fight. Especially with all the perilous attacks she has. Like the grab, you have to learn how to counter that well. That's a pretty cool attack to have to learn how to counter. Yeah, overall, Ishin and Emma, very good fight. There are 3 phases across them both. Emma has 1 phase and Ishin has 2 phases. I don't like Ishin Ashina as much as Sword Saint Ishin, but because he's pretty much just the same boss, just instead of 3 phases, 2 phases, and no spear, and instead of lightning attacks in the last phase, fire attacks. I don't like him as much as Sword Saint Ishin, but Ishin Ashina is still a very good boss. Guardian Ape is next. I actually really like the Guardian Ape. I see a lot of hate for this fight, but I think it's a really good fight. Because first of all, it has the really cool fake out after beating the first phase. You chop off its head, and then after like 10-15 seconds, it comes back to life. And you have to fight another phase. But also, this was a huge roadblock for me as well. This was the last fight I did before Owl. This was the last of the, like, 3 required bosses to get to Owl after Genichiro. Guardian Ape's a really good fight, though. Especially the second phase with Headless. The fact that it uses a sword just makes it automatically better in my book, because beast fights in Sekiro aren't done as well as sword fights. But also the movements it makes is really cool, because you can tell it's the centipede that's controlling it. Overall, a really good fight. Not as good as any of the other fights in A tier. Obviously not as good as Sword Saint Ishin. It's better than these 3, though. Better than these 3. Especially way better than Old Dragons of the Tree. Next up is Headless Fate. I also have not fought the Headless 8. The duo in the cave. I haven't fought that boss yet, so I'm not gonna rank it. Foster. Oh, that's Owlfather. I haven't fought that one. True Monk. Yes. This fight, I will give an S tier. Along with Saint Ishin. Well, no, high A. Should probably actually order this the way I think that it should be ordered. I think it'll be this. Yeah, this order seems good. Yeah, that's a good order. True Monk is my second favorite fight in this game. It is such a good fight. I don't know what I love about it either. Like, the arena's cool, the boss look is cool. It's just something about the fight that I love so much. Oh wait, yeah, I forgot this is also a 3-phase fight. I never really think of it as a 3-phase fight, because second phase you can just get a death blow off one of the trees. Once you get to second phase, you can just grapple to one of the trees above the arena. And, just get a death blow on the True Monk to completely skip phase 2. It's a very, very fun fight. It took me a good few tries as well. It didn't take me too many tries. I think it took me 5 or 6 tries, maybe. But it's a very fun fight. It's definitely my second favorite fight in the game. I almost like it as much as Sword Saint Ishin, but it's not quite S tier. Very, very good fight, though. Definitely a very, very high A tier. The highest A tier there is. Now, this Corrupted Monk, on the other hand, gets a C tier. I do not like False Corrupted Monk, specifically because it is such an annoying fight. I get that it's the exact same attacks, the exact same boss, just with 1 phase instead of 3, and a different arena. That's all fine and good. The thing that I don't like about it is that you're pretty much required to use some sort of item to get some damage in, because it has such high posture recovery and does so much posture damage to you that you pretty much have to use either Divine Confetti, Firecrackers, Snap Seeds, Fistfuls of Ash, which I don't like. I don't like when you're forced to use an item or something in a boss battle. I like to just do sword on sword action. That is my favorite way to play this game, aside from Guardian Ape, where I use the umbrella in the second phase to block the scream attack. But even that isn't required. You can just run away from it, and it's not that much different. It's just easier with the umbrella. This one, you're pretty much required to use it. I just always do the cheese strat for this, where you creep along the left side of the arena and get behind the False Corrupted Monk and just use a bunch of Snap Seeds, Fistfuls of Ash, and Firecrackers to get an easy death blow. I do not like this fight at all. One of my least favorite fights in this game. Next up is Divine Dragon, though. I would put Divine Dragon about here. It is a very, very cool fight. You use the lightning from the trees to shoot lightning bolts at it, and in my opinion, it's one of the only good gimmick fights that FromSoft has ever pulled off. It's this one and Rykard. As I said at the beginning, it's this one and Rykard. Divine Dragon is such a cool fight, and the spectacle of the fight is very good. It's just a huge dragon with a huge sword that you can somehow actually parry if you go for the swiping down attacks. Then you can actually parry it if you're within range of the sword. Somehow you can actually parry this boss. It doesn't really do much, and you can't. I don't think you can actually beat the boss with it, but you can parry it. And it's very cool. It's a very, very good boss to lead up to Sword Saint Ishin, because you get past this boss, and then you go back to Ashina Castle, and you have to go back to the beginning field and fight Sword Saint Ishin. It's a very good lead-up fight, and the area before it is also very cool, plus before it in the area is True Monk, which is an amazing fight. Yeah, very, very good fight, very cool fight. Overall, a good fight. Genichiro is next. Just out of respect for this boss, and how it pretty much taught me the way to play this game, I think I'm going to have to put him right here. He is one of my favorite fights in the game, as you see with where I ranked him. I'm going to have to put him there because he pretty much taught me the combat of this game. I got this game shortly after Elden Ring. I got Elden Ring. That was my first Souls game, and it was so much better than I was expecting. And I got Sekiro beginning of April of this year, I think. And I was absolutely horrible at it. I didn't actually like it very much at the time because I was horrible at the fighting stuff, so I just kept dying. Got to Genichiro about the end of April and could not get past him. I ran around, I beat like the Snake Eyes boss in the Poison Swamp, got over to Orin and the Fake Corrupted Monk, couldn't beat them, went back to Genichiro and could not beat him. Then at the end of August, around the end of August, it took so long that around the end of August, I finally beat Genichiro, and that was when the combat clicked. That was the exact moment the combat clicked, is when I went back to the game on that day, and kept doing attempts at him. That was when the combat clicked for me, and I got so much progress so quick. And that ended with yesterday I beat the game. That's when I beat the game. And it is just, this is the fight that caused me to love this game so much, because it taught me the combat. So this fight is the reason why I have beaten this game, because I learned the combat from it, and this fight is what pretty much taught me how to play the game. Very, very good fight. One of my favorite fights. Any of these inner bosses I have not fought. Lady Butterfly I'll put in B. I'm not a huge fan of the boss. The fight on its own is not bad. I actually like the fight. It's the summons in Phase 2 that I have a problem with. I do not enjoy running around the arena forever, waiting, then having to hide behind a pole, and then getting like 30-45 seconds into fighting her, and then she spawns in more summons. I just don't enjoy that gimmick, so I'm going to put it in middle of B tier. Folding Screen Monkeys I don't mind. Just below Lady Butterfly. I don't dislike the fight, but I also don't... It's just kind of middle ground for me. It's a cool puzzle boss, but once you know the route to go to always be able to kill them in like a minute or two, it becomes more of just a road bump before everything else. It's pretty much just a free point in your attack. So I don't really have any thoughts on them. Genichiro Ashina. Tutorial boss? Is that Tutorial Genichiro? I don't really care about this boss. I don't know, it's a cool intro to the game. I guess I'll put it bottom of A. It's a cool intro to the game, and it's cool that you can actually beat the boss if you go back. I mean, you can beat it first try, but what players really most players aren't really going to be that good to be able to beat Genichiro Ashina first try. So usually it's going back onto a different playthrough when you're actually good and have learned his moveset. And it's really satisfying then to go back and beat him. But other than that, it's just not that. It's not an insane fight. The later Genichiro here is better. This Genichiro isn't actually better because it's just a rehash of the last phase of this one. But the later Genichiro is better because he's the same thing, just with a last phase. But it's not a bad fight either way. I like it. It's a cool tutorial boss. Anyways, that is my ranking of all of the bosses in Sekiro. All of the ones that I have fought. These ones I haven't fought. I haven't seen any of the inner bosses because I want to wait to see them until I actually beat them, because I just don't want to see them. I don't want to get spoiled. Headless Ape duo I haven't fought because it just doesn't seem that fun. A duo fight of the Headless Ape, no. Demon of Hatred I do like from what I've seen of it, but I just haven't beaten it because it's so hard. I haven't beaten it yet. This one I missed out on the chance to beat it because I didn't know that you had to. I didn't know that straight after the owl fight you had to eavesdrop on Kuro and Emma. So I missed out on doing that fight. I could do a mini boss ranking in the future. I might do that. I did want to do a mini boss and boss combined ranking video, but that wouldn't really be fair for the mini bosses because none of them are nearly as good as. Well, most of them aren't as good as the main bosses, so that wouldn't really be fair for the mini bosses. So I want to do a ranking on their own instead of with all the other bosses. Anyways, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like the video. If you disliked it, disliked it. If you disliked it, dislike it. If you like this video and want to know when I next post, subscribe with notifications on. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.